the product rule of differentiation. So first they're going to make us multiply these two functions together like we've done through the power rule, and then take the derivative. So just to show that we get the same thing. So f of x equals to, we're going to multiple distribution in the top, multiple distribution in the bottom, so I get 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x, and then down here with the bottom and the 3 minus 3x squared plus 6x minus 3. Combine your like terms. F of x equals to 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 8x minus 3. Take the derivative. 3 times 2 is 6x squared minus 14x plus 8, and there you have it. Now, the product rule of two functions, if p of x equals f of x times g of x, like you see up here, then p prime of x equals to the derivative of the first part times the second part plus the derivative of the second part times the first part. And this rule will save us no time on this example up here. We'll actually cause more work for ourselves. But for functions that we cannot take the derivative of, it will be most helpful. So here's f, here's g. So in order to take this derivative, I take the derivative of the first part, 2x minus 3. The derivative of 2x minus 3 is 2, times the second part, x squared minus 2x plus 1, plus the derivative of the second part, 2x minus 2, times the first part, 2x minus 3. Now we're going to simplify just to show it's equal. We're not going to get caught up into a lot of simplification with these. 4x plus 2 plus 4x squared minus 4x minus 6x plus 6. Combine all these like terms, we get 2x squared, 4x squared, 6x squared minus 4x minus 4x minus 6x is minus 14x, and then 2 plus 6 is 8. So we did not save as much time for ourselves. But what about a function like this? G of x is x squared times sine x. We want to find the slope of the normal line of this graph. So we start out taking the derivative. The derivative of the first part is 2x sine x, plus the derivative of sine is cosine, and I'm looking for when x equals pi, slope of the normal line. So the slope of the tangent line is 2 pi sine pi. Sine of pi is 0. Cosine pi times pi squared. Cosine pi is 1. So the slope of my tangent line is pi squared. Therefore, the slope of my normal line is negative 1 over pi squared. Alright. So I'm going to do these quickly. I'm not going to get caught up in a lot of simplification. They just want us to find the derivative. So the derivative of this first part, f prime of x, equals, the derivative of this is 4x plus 3 times the second part, x squared minus 3, plus the derivative of this is 2x times 2x squared plus 3x. That's what it wants to know, the derivative. It doesn't say simplify to only 3 terms of x or prove something. If we have to prove something, then that we may have to work with some trig. Alright, the derivative of x squared, or excuse me, the derivative of the square root of x is 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 times x squared minus 3x plus 2 plus square root of x times 2x minus 3. The derivative of the first part times the second part plus the derivative of the second part times the first part. Alright, here, the derivative of x cubed is 3x sine x plus the derivative of sine is cosine x times x cubed. H prime of x is 3 times cosine x. The derivative of cosine is minus sine and times 3x plus 2. Alright, so first off, this is a plus. Just don't worry about that. They're trying to confuse us. The derivative of 3 theta is 3. Now we have a multiplication. I got theta times that, so derivative of theta is sine plus the derivative of theta times the derivative of sine is cosine. So the derivative of 3 theta is 3, and then I have this. The derivative of theta is 1 times sine plus derivative of sine cosine times theta. Sine times cosine, derivative of sine is cosine, times the second part plus the first part times the derivative of, okay, cleaning it up just a little. Oh, excuse me, that's going to be minus sine squared theta, sine squared x. Find the equation of the tangent line, and theta equals 6, so first you find the derivative of g, 2t cosine t plus t squared sine t. Remember, that's going to make this a minus sign. Plug in pi over 6, so I get 2 times pi over 6 cosine pi over 6. Right. Pi over 6, remember, is our 30-degree angle, and that is square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. So cosine of pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 2, so my 2's cancel, so I get theta, or whatever you call that, pi, times square root of 3 plus pi squared over 36. It's going to be minus. I'm bringing my minus out front. And then sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. So my final slope is pi over 6 root 3 minus pi squared over 72. X is pi over 6. And we need to find out y is by plugging it into the original. Cosine of pi over 6, once again, is square root of 3 over 2, which is so y minus all of that equals and that's a lot, but that's basically it. How to simplify for the tangents. Okay, we're not doing that. That's getting repetitive. You can do that on your own if you want. What lesson to be learned? That the product rule works, I guess. Alright, here's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm not going to do the product rule twice. I'm going to multiply these two to save myself some time. X squared minus x plus 3 is plus 2x minus 3. So I take the derivative of this part, 2 times x squared plus 2x minus 3 plus 2x plus 2 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. X squared, 4x and 6x is 10x plus 6. Now you can go ahead and plug your 2 in now, or you can simplify. I'm going to simplify. X squared is 6x squared. 4x and 10x is 14x. Negative 6 and positive 6 goes away. Now I'm going to find my slope of my tangent line when g is 2. So 2 squared is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Minus 14 is 28. And that's going to be equal to minus 4. So the slope of the normal line is positive 1/4. Graphical analysis. Alright, so it wants to know what the value of p prime of 4 is. So first we need to find out what the value of p is. P of x is f of x times g of x. So p prime of x, f prime of x times g of x plus g prime of x times f of x. And we're going to look at p negative 4. F prime of negative 4, g of negative 4, g prime of negative 4, f prime of f of negative 4, sorry. Alright, so it says here g prime of negative 4 equals 2, so that's good. f prime of negative 4 is our slope at negative 4, which is just negative 1. So this is the graph of f. All this slope is our f primes. G of negative 4, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, negative 4 is 6. So that's going to equal to negative 6 plus 2 times f of negative 4 is negative 1 minus 2 is negative 8. So we want to know what r prime of negative 2 is, so the first thing we need to do is find out what r prime, r equals x squared g of x. So r prime of x will be equal to 2x times g of x plus g prime of x times x squared. And we're looking for negative 2. That equals 20. So 2 times negative 2, g of negative 2 plus g prime of x of negative 2 squared. So 2 times g of negative 2 is negative 3. Negative 6 times 2 equals 12. We're looking for g prime, so I got 4 g prime of x. 2 squared is 4. So g prime of x must be equal to 2. Alright, so you've already found your slope at negative 4. So you got y minus y1 equals negative 8x plus 4. Plug y into your original, or x into your original. So p of x is g of x times f of x. So I need g of negative 4 and f of negative 4. G of negative 4 is 6. F of negative 4 is negative 1. So that's going to be equal to negative 6. So there you go. R of x, you already did it. You found the slope. Or actually it gave us the slope of 20. So y minus equals 20x plus 2. You need r of x, which is negative 2 squared g of negative 2. So 4 times g of negative 2. G of negative 2 is negative 3. So that equals to negative 12. That's my y. Graphical analysis. And the last one is our charts. .5 is between 4 and 3. This is the slope, so we're just going to use the slope between 4 and 3 to estimate this. So f of 4 minus f of 3 over 4 minus 3. F of 4 is 1. F of 3 is negative 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. So we got to take the derivative. If we're going to do any of this, q of x equals to 2 times f prime of x minus 4 times g prime of x. We want to know what q of 4 is. F prime of 4 minus 4 g prime of 4. And that's all I was asking to do, is plug this stuff in. 4 f prime is 2. G prime of 4 is negative 3. And that equals 16. Alright, so p of x here. So first we got to find the derivative. It's negative 2 times f prime of x, g of x, plus g prime of x, f of x. Alright, so f prime of 3 times g of 3. F prime of 3 is negative 4. G of 3 is negative 3. G prime of 3 is 2. I'll show you what I'm doing. F of 3 is negative 2. That's all I'm doing. Negative 2. Negative 2. So that's going to equal negative 4. That's going to be positive 8, and that's going to equal negative 16. Alright, so tangent line, first we got to find this derivative. That's going to equal 3x squared f of x plus x cubed f prime of x. And we're looking for it when x equals to negative 1. And negative 1 squared is 1. F of negative 1 is 2. Negative 1 cubed is still negative 1. F of negative 1, F prime of negative 1 is 1. And the slope is going to be equal to 5, so y minus equals 5. X plus 1 is my x. This is m. Y, I have to plug negative 1 in here, so I get negative f of negative 1. Negative 1 cubed is negative 1. F of 1, negative 1 is 2, equals to negative 2, so y plus 2 equals. Last one. Find the derivative of k. So the derivative of this first part is going to be 2f prime times 3 minus g of x plus and that's going to be negative g prime of x. And I want to know what this is when x equals 3. So I got 2, 3 minus g of 3 plus 2 times f of 3 f prime of 3 is negative 4. G of 3 is negative 3 plus 2 times f of 3 is negative 2. Negative g prime of 3. G prime of 3 is 2, so it'll be negative 2. So there's all my substitution. 2 times 4 is negative 8 times 6 is 48. Negative. That's going to be negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1 times 2 is negative 1 times 2 is positive 2, and that's going to be equal to negative 46. And with that, we have our A19 homework. Hope this helps.